Best Media Podcast Network.
Mi gente, ¿cómo están?
Usai, mi gente. Welcome to another edition of Must Love Wrestling, coño. It's been a long time since we've been on here together, hasn't it? I gotta be honest with you, though. I've enjoyed posting shorts on YouTube because I feel like they get the most views. I feel like people enjoy those way more than they do just our long form podcasts. Obviously, I'm here by myself. Tyler is a little under the weather, and I wanted to talk about professional wrestling. So this is probably just gonna be like a short one, probably like 15-20 minutes, but let's jump right into it. Guys, what a great transition WWE has had going from live television to streaming. Who would say that last week's Raw was WrestleMania-esque, right? Only for this week's Raw to top last week's Raw. That is wild to me. Just absolutely wild. I mean, everything we wanted in last week, we got this week. That's right. I think about it and I'm like, you know what? What if this is like a Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2? What if the first two episodes of Monday Night Raw was like last week was part 1, this week was part 2? Because the way it was presented, it felt like a real big PLE. That's premium live event for the people that wanted to not say pay-per-view anymore. But I'm probably going to say pay-per-view for a long time. It's just never going to leave my DNA. It's just one of those things. But guys, wow. Last week we have Rhea Ripley in a banger against Liv Morgan. Did they not tear the house down? Can you spot the bad match in 2 weeks in WWE television? Because I can't. I honestly cannot give that to you. Last week we had 4 matches. This week I think we had 5. So 9 matches in 2 weeks of Raw in Volume 1 and 2, I would say. And every single match was just better than the last. Now, clearly, Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa just crushed it. That match was my favorite match in the past 2 weeks. Just the storytelling, the development of the characters, how Roman Reigns is the original and now dubbed the only tribal chief. I like it. I really enjoy it. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu and Tama Tonga. What's going to happen there? Does Jacob Fatu take over the bloodline? Does he bring in Hikuleo? Does he bring in his tag partner from the Indies, Zila Fatu? What's going to happen, guys? Either way, we're headed towards WrestleMania season. And man, I cannot tell you how excited I have been. Professional wrestling has just reached this absolute monster area where there's just so much appreciation from fans all over the globe. Now that fans can watch Raw at any point. I mean, let me tell you what I've been doing. The past 2 weeks, I have watched Monday Night Raw from beginning to end. And as soon as it ends, I post my TikToks. Here you go. While we still can, because it's supposed to be banned by next week. But I jump right back on Netflix and I rewatch the whole show. I truly enjoyed what we saw last week. I thought Roman and Solo kicked us off to a brand new start of WWE, a more theatrical feel. It definitely flows way better than it used to. Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan just putting the nail in the coffin in their feud. And you know that that's what happened because the continuation of it was this week, and Rhea didn't even acknowledge her. There was a small acknowledgement by Liv Morgan, not towards Rhea Ripley, but about the title. Finn Balor, once again, talking that ish. He says, I'm sure you're going to get your title back. And she says, I'm sure I will too. That's the only acknowledgement. We have moved forward. Rhea Ripley has welcomed new challengers, and the MVP of the SmackDown Women's Division, Nia Jax, comes out to confront Rhea Ripley, and we're off to the races. Now the title has officially become the most important prize for the women's division. I'm enjoying that because I feel like Tiffany Stratton is probably going to get the Rumble winner. So we need the Elimination Chamber to give us Rhea Ripley's challenger for WrestleMania. Now, word on the street, word on the dirt sheets is that Charlotte and Becky are the two favorites or co-favorites to win the Royal Rumble. And I know a lot of people are upset about this. They're just like, damn it, man, like why? The Rumble hasn't been around long enough, not for the women at least, and we're already having like multiple time champions. Guys, this is what WWE has given us, and we just have to accept it. You see, as wrestling fans, we ruined the feeling of having a first-time winner. We ruined it because we don't follow that person. We ask and we ask and we ask for new. And then when we get it, pues coño, ¿qué pasa? We just don't support that person. So we're going to get one of three things from now on, men and women's Royal Rumble. One of three things. An already established superstar, a multiple-time winner, or a former world champion. We are not going to get the Drew McIntyres, the Shinsuke Nakamura's, the Alberto Del Rios. We're not going to get that anymore. Those times of the singular guy winning, that's over. It's over. And we have no one to blame but ourselves, because we have told WWE that we want to support a specific professional wrestler, and then when they give it to us, we don't keep our support there. That's exactly what happens. So, of course, John Cena is the favorite for the men, and Becky and Charlotte are the favorite for the women. Now, I know this upsets a lot of people because, like I said, we want new. But until we do our jobs as wrestling fans and just chant until our voices break and buy merch for a specific superstar that just shocks WWE to the point where they need to pull a Daniel Bryan, or they need to pull a CM Punk or a Kofi Kingston, it's just not going to happen. We're going to need to be otherworldly. We're going to need to come out of nowhere in support of a professional wrestler for that person to be an up-and-coming superstar winning the Royal Rumble. Now, I'm excited because Becky Lynch has proven time after time that she can make us feel, and she can absolutely help us build someone. Now, let's go back. Let's rewind to WrestleMania 40. What was the word on the street coming out of WrestleMania 40? Well, Becky Lynch had 102 fever, and Rhea Ripley had a panic attack. Now, I don't know. There has been no confirmation about this, but that was the word on the street that happened before their match. Now, I thought their match was exceptional. Exceptional. It wasn't near Rhea and Charlotte the year before, but that was the match of WrestleMania 39. Nothing touched that match. But what if Becky and Rhea feel like they didn't give us our best? They didn't give us their best. What if they feel like they can do better? What if Becky gives us a different version of her character? Because that's the word on the street as well, is that Becky's coming in with a brand new character. So we get Becky versus Rhea at WrestleMania 41, and then we get Charlotte versus Tiffany, which I think people forgot that that's the match they've been clamoring for, and they're about to give it to us, and fans have figured out a way to complain about it. I don't understand the logic here, guys. Do you honestly think Charlotte's going to WrestleMania to beat Tiffany Stratton? Why? Because she beat Ronda Rousey? Okay. Because she beat Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania? Well, she only beat Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania, I think, because Rhea was moving up. Like, let's be honest, guys. Like, she gave her the win back a couple years later. So maybe just trust the process. I'm excited because I know that WrestleMania is going to have maybe 4 to 5 women's matches. We're going to have like 15 matches at WrestleMania. That's my opinion. I think we're going to have 4 women's matches. We're going to have the whatever happened with Jade Cargill, she's going to get her match at WrestleMania. whatever happened there. We're going to have the Intercontinental and United States Championship match. They're going to defend their titles at WrestleMania. So that's 3 matches right there. We're going to have whatever happened to Jade, the IC title, the US title, because you can't give us those titles and then not make them a big deal by having them defended at WrestleMania. So we're going to have that. And then we're going to have Tiffany defending her title and Becky defending her title. That's 5 women's matches at WrestleMania 49. That is awesome. And I'm not thinking about this like in a hyperbolic nature, like, oh, that's just me wishing and dreaming. I'm looking at it logically. How can you not have those 5 matches on the card? We have to have a continuation for Jade. There has to be something. Clearly, the tag titles won't be defended because they'll probably go to Lash and Jakara. So they'll be on NXT. So we'll probably have that. The takeover for NXT, that's where those titles will be defended, which is a great thing. Lash and Jakara are the future. So that's awesome. So we're looking at a whole bunch of women's matches at WrestleMania this year, and I am excited. Now let's move over to the men's side. We got Roman Reigns and possibly CM Punk. How do you feel about that match? I think that's going to be a good match. I think that's going to be Punk's favor, is working Roman Reigns. So that way he gets his main event against the true main eventer in the company. That's awesome. Then you got Seth Rollins working, I don't know, maybe Seth, Kevin, Drew in a triple threat match. I could see that. Everybody keeps putting them together like a team, like a new Shield. What if it's the 3 of them against each other? You're talking about Kevin and Seth that have been just feuding for a while. You're talking about Drew McIntyre, like he just worked Seth. All of these guys have worked each other. The promos are going to be killer. They're probably going to like implode. That's going to be awesome. I think Gunther is most likely going to face Logan Paul. And I know this upsets a lot of people. I got to be honest, I don't really have an opinion about it. All I will say is if you ask me my thoughts is, sure. That's it, sure. I don't really have an opinion about Logan Paul. I think he's a celebrity who comes in, who wants to work all the time, but I don't know. For me, he's like maybe 3 or 4 in celebrities we've ever gotten. I still rank Bad Bunny and Stephen Amell over him in terms of celebrities transitioning to professional wrestling. That's just kind of how I feel about it. I think Kenny Omega said it best on his live stream. Logan Paul can give you stuff when he's been practicing and practicing and practicing, but you know, what if he has to go out there and have a match on the fly? I think the thing that people don't listen to is what John Morrison said about Bad Bunny. That when he was working with Bunny, he felt like Bunny was already a wrestler. You know what I mean? So like when people compare Logan to Bad Bunny, I know. You're going to tell me that I'm not giving my true opinion. I'm invalidating myself by having this flag. But I could take off this hat, I could pull down that, and I still have it on my arm, guys. So, I mean, I'm never going to stop representing my people. And, yeah, I mean, I just think Bad Bunny's a better worker than Logan Paul. So if you told me Bunny was going to work Gunther, I'd be ecstatic. I mean, I expect Gunther to retain regardless. And then, obviously, we have the big match. Big match John going against Cody Rhodes. And listen, whatever gets the title off of Cody Rhodes, I don't care who it is. Take the title off. That guy's been the most watered down version of the American Nightmare we've ever seen. I mean, you can't call yourself the American Nightmare and present us with this character. Because John Cena had the same character, right? He was the doctor of thugonomics. And then he was like the, hustle, loyalty, respect. Like he adapted his character. He still wore the same stuff. He still worked the same, but he stopped cutting promos that way. I think that's what we're in right now. We're in the hustle, loyalty, respect era of Cody Rhodes. We're done with the Doctor of Thugonomics. And that was in the Indies. This version of Cody Rhodes is just, I wouldn't call him the American Nightmare. I think he's closer to dashing than anything else, which is fine. Good for him. He's beefed up, so he's clearly taken his physical appearance to matter. He dyed his hair, he put the tattoo on his neck, and lots of kids love him. So that's great. So I think it's perfect to have John Cena versus Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania because they're essentially the same character. It's like we're moving into the new version of that character. And I like it. And I do think WWE will make the same mistake. They will never turn Cody Rhodes heel. That's how I feel. Now, here's a thought that I feel like people have just overlooked. What happens to all of the people that have kind of been there? Like, does Sheamus win the Intercontinental Championship at Saturday Night's Main Event next week? Or do we wait and make him do it at WrestleMania? That's the one title that's eluded him. I mean, I would have him do it next. I would have him do it next week. I would have Braun Breaker move on. I would love nothing more than for the Logan Paul and Gunther thing to be like, let's throw this out there, this rumor, to see how people react to it. And then I would love nothing more to have Braun Breaker versus Gunther at WrestleMania. I would definitely put the rocket on Braun Breaker's back and have him win the World Heavyweight Championship from Gunther at WrestleMania. And the reason I feel like this is perfect is because Braun beat him once before. And when they've interacted in the Rumble, Braun has kind of dominated him. I love that. I mean, we're in this era of bringing up things from the past. Braun Breaker and Gunther is like a dream match for me. And I would also have the NXT Championship defended at WrestleMania. I would have Oba Femi defend the NXT Championship at WrestleMania. I know they have their own takeover, but what if the takeover for WrestleMania, the main event, is Stephanie Valcour versus Julia for the NXT Women's Championship? And then you give Oba Femi that WrestleMania treatment. Let's introduce him to a brand new, broader audience because that man is coming. And he is going to be one of the biggest stars of the next 10 to 15 years. It is absolutely exciting to watch professional wrestling right now. But obviously, we're not going to continue to talk about nothing good here. What we want to talk about is some of the critiques that AEW has received. I mean, damn, I'm not going to read them all, but I saw a tweet about AEW, and it really drove me nuts. I'm not the biggest AEW supporter, clearly, because I feel like they're disingenuous. Now, before I jump into this, I want to tell you why I believe that AEW fans are disingenuous. Because they tell you something that's clearly untrue. We wanted the alternative. We want to be a different company. We want to be completely different from anything that you've ever seen. That's what we love about AEW. That's what AEW fans will tell you. But then when you watch the product, it's repetitive, just like WWE. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, here goes. If you watch WWE and you watch, let's say, Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes, right? You know how the match is going to play out. The whole structure of the match. You know, there's going to be comebacks. There's going to be lots of heat given to one guy. There's going to be shenanigans. I mean, you know this because you've seen professional wrestling before. Now, what if I told you in AEW, they do the same layout? The only difference is instead of shenanigans, it's no selling. Because that's what they do. Now, Undertaker said this a while back about the Young Bucks, and I don't remember where it was from, but you can Google this next thing. And he says they do all of their special in every single match, and that makes it not special. That to me is a big deal because if I'm watching AEW for the first time and I see the no selling and I see the Warriors way, because that's what it has been described to me. If I see that, I think to myself, okay, that's awesome. And you want to know why I think that's awesome? Because I was at Charity Hall in Bayonne, New Jersey to watch Loki wrestle Dan Moff. And I remember Dan Moff hitting Loki with a German suplex and Loki just rolling out of it and just yelling, just this warrior spirit, and then hitting a roaring elbow to knock out Dan Moff. And I remember thinking, wow, that was one of the coolest spots I've ever seen. He no-sold that German, and it was awesome. but Loki sold better than almost anybody on the indies. So we didn't see that all the time. I didn't see it all the time. So when Loki did wrestle guys and he no-sold shit, it was awesome. Same thing goes for Masato Tanaka and Mike Awesome. If you watch their match for the ECW championship, any one of them, because I think they worked each other 4 times between all the companies, like for us here in the States, there was a lot of no selling for those guys. Masato would take like power bombs or German suplexes, roll out, give a roaring elbow. Mike Awesome would take a big suplex. He'd jump up and pop Masato with a big boot. And you'd be like, whoa, man, these guys, they don't even care. This isn't wrestling, it's a fight. And it was awesome. But Mike Awesome didn't wrestle everybody like that. And Tanaka didn't wrestle everybody like that. That's my biggest gripe with the AEW wrestling structure, is that every single match I can tell you that Will Ospreay's not going to sell a clothesline. He's going to float over into some variation of a Styles Clash. I know that spot because he does it all the time. If he takes a tiger suplex, a dragon suplex, he's going to float over or roll over, and then he's going to hit that weird elbow thing, which just and that's my issue, because wrestling fans will have you believe that this is new. They will tell you, oh, but it's AEW, it's the alternative, but you're watching the same shit. Because Ospreay's doing that in every single match. So you're saying you want something new. You're saying they're the alternative, but they're not the alternative. They're giving you exactly what you've watched for years in WWE. You're just getting it in this structure. The no selling has become the 5 moves of doom, and people don't want to talk about it. Another thing that makes it laughable is, like, they get so offended when you call them the minor leagues, right? They get super offended. But let me explain something. If they're not the minor leagues, why is it that when a wrestler goes to WWE and changes their style to work to adapt to the WWE style? Let's say a wrestler would have happened to go back to the indies, right? And when they go back to the indies, they would want to do what Sting did, which is adapt their style and work more indie friendly. That's what Sting did in like his 60s. He was like, I can't do the 5 hip tosses. I can't do like the gut buster. I can't like throw Germans like the way I used to with Vader. You know, yeah, I can still hit the Stinger splash, the Scorpion Death Drop, the Scorpion Deathlock, but I need to adapt and do other stuff. So when I get to my chest pounding, no selling, fans will be excited. Sting adapted his style. But other WWE superstars that go back to a place like AEW, that go back to a place like Ring of Honor, that go back to a place like TNA, they still work the WWE style. They don't adapt their style. They don't. And I'm not lying to you. I'm telling you the truth. Go back and watch it. The perfect example of what I'm telling you right now is Adam Cole. Adam Cole went to NXT and he adapted his style. NXT Adam Cole is not Ring of Honor Adam Cole. It is not Bullet Club Adam Cole. The style is not the same. The wrestling, it's not the same. Like I said, just like Sting, he still had his moves that were his moves. But his actual wrestling, well, it changed when he went to NXT. Since he's been in AEW, he's still working the WWE NXT style. He didn't go back to Ring of Honor Adam Cole. He didn't go back to Bullet Club Adam Cole. Same thing with Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe went to WWE, changed his style, worked a little safer, structured his matches a little better. He went back to AEW and he brought that style with him. That's the pros. That's what that is. That style is professional wrestling. AEW style is indie wrestling, which is another word, indie wrestling. So when you tell me that you want something different, make sure you describe what you mean by different, because clearly, you're not describing your shit correctly. Now, back to the tweet that I heard about AEW, or that I read about AEW. Like I said, I'm not going to read it all, but some of it is just harsh, guys. Just harsh. And it was by some guy named Jason G. Shout out to Jason G. I'm just going to read your tweet here on my show. He says, the current state of AEW, the Death Riders, dead from the jump. Cope? Nope. The Hurt Syndicate, no direction. Darby Allin. I'm not reading the thing about Darby Allin, just unnecessary. Ricochet, throwing toilet paper at him. Orange Cassidy, whatever. Christian Cage, more dead dad jokes. Hook, worst promo in wrestling. Hangman Page, a meaningless feud with Christopher Daniels. Kyle O'Reilly, watching him wrestle is like watching flies. Yeah. Roderick Strong screams real loud. Mercedes Moné saves all her bangers for Japan. Jay White buried. Jamie Hayter buried. Swerve Strickland forgotten. And a lot more of that stuff, right? And I thought, that's really unfair. Now, I would sit here and say that this guy is a cherry picker, but it's 2 pages of stuff that he tweeted out, of issues that he sees with AEW. 2 pages, guys. It took me 2 screenshots to save everything he said. I thought about screen recording it, but I was like, that's just going to be irritating to read to you guys if I'm like waiting and it's moving. I mean, wow. The harshness towards AEW bothers me. And let me tell you why. I feel like it's a lot like this generation, what we've done here in this generation. And we do it with everything, every single form of entertainment or media. When I was growing up, I remember my dad would sit me down and he'd be like, Louie, you got to watch this match. Or you got to watch this movie. And I would watch Nighthawk with my dad, with Sly Stallone. I'd watch Rambo. I would watch The Perfect Weapon. I would watch Lethal Weapon, Die Hard, all of these cool movies that you grew up with, Commando. And I never once thought to myself, even now as an adult, when I watch them with my kid, I never once thought to myself, these are Oscar-worthy performances. These are movies that are considered GOATs. They're the greatest. Well, they're Mount Rushmore. I never looked at things that way. But that's the way people view everything now. If it's not considered the best, they don't want to consume it. And the perfect example of this is the crap that Dave Meltzer tweets. Like, oh, this match is the best match of the year. He says that about 40 times a year. We have 52 weeks in a year. And there's probably like 10,000 matches between all companies. And about 40 times he's telling you it's the match of the year. And then he has so many things that are 5 stars, 6 star, 6.5 star. I mean, that's how everybody views everything. So when I go watch a movie like Black Adam or Red One, that were just like critics, just bashed, right? I look at them like those movies I watched when I was a kid. They're fun. Shut your brain off. Enjoy the flick, like Fast and the Furious. I'm not going in here for no like amazing story. I'm going in here for action scenes, fight scenes. You know, I'm going in here because it's a popcorn flick. That's how I look at AEW. It's a popcorn place. I sit down, shut my brain off, and just watch pro wrestling. Just watch them work. I'm not watching them for theatricality. I'm not watching them for their divisive storytelling. That's not how I watch AEW. I watch them like a great introduction for my son to watch wrestling. Now, he's 8 now, so he's been watching wrestling for years. So, I mean, since he was 4. Same as me. But, yeah, I mean, when we watch AEW, he prefers to watch it on mute. That's something that I've taught him. Like, hey, if I can shut this off, I can mute this television and then just watch the in-ring product, that's what I'll do. That's how I view AEW. So I feel like it's odd when you're comparing the two, and that's the issue with AEW like fans and the people that bash AEW is they want to be the alternative. They want to be the direct competition. Why compete at all? You're not a competition. You're just not. Max is not showcasing those streaming numbers on their platform. They've had Max. They've been on Max since the first of the year, and they don't even care to release those numbers because it's like, who cares? Like, nobody's turning on Max to watch it. I use Max like a Hulu type of thing. Like I go back and watch AEW Dynamite after it's done, so I don't have to watch it on Wednesdays. I mean, that's what I like, is being able to replay the wrestling. Like I'm not watching it to see a Chris Jericho promo. I'm not watching it to see. Now, I will stop to listen to Jon Moxley's promos, but as I've stated here before, I love Jon Moxley. Like he's one of my absolute wrestlers. I know people dislike him, and I get it, but I don't have to like what you like. I mean, I love Jon Moxley. You hate Jon Moxley. I hate Cody Rhodes. You love Cody Rhodes. Yeah, unlike Cody, I'm not afraid if you guys hate me for having this flag in the background. That's a Cody issue. That's something that's inside of him. But for me, no. I'm going to rep that flag forever. So, yeah, guys. Last thing I want to leave you with is a quote by a character. Not even like a real person. Just a television character. And that is, I wish we knew we were in the good old times before we left them. And that's, if you remember, it's from The Office series finale, and it was Andy Bernard. And I wanted to tell you the reason that I feel like we're in the good old times right now, or the good old days, is because when I moved to the States in the 90s, when I left Puerto Rico, I was able to come into the Monday Night Wars. And the Royal Rumble during that time period had The Undertaker, Mick Foley, Stone Cold, The Rock, Kane, The Big Show, Triple H, Kurt Angle. That's 8 massive superstars, guys. That was in the Rumble. That was the good old days. That's right. Those Royal Rumble times, that was the good old days. After Drew McIntyre announced that he was going to be in the Royal Rumble yesterday, I thought to myself, John Cena, Roman Reigns, CM Punk, Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre, probably Dom Mysterio, Finn Balor, Damian Priest, Jey Uso. Holy crap. Sheamus. Oh my God. We're in the good old days right now. So yeah, guys, just remember, appreciate professional wrestling because it is beautiful. It has been my first love since I was 4 years old, and I just want to share it with each and every one of you. Now, this is usually the time where I tell you to follow me everywhere. But unfortunately, TikTok seems to be getting banned soon, so I won't really have that. So here's what I'll tell you. Follow me on Instagram. That's macho_el mono, or _el mono. And follow me on Red Note. That's Macho El Mono. No spaces. Follow me over there. Please follow, like, subscribe, share our podcast here on YouTube. We went from 350 over the past couple weeks to 425. So, guys, thank you so much. I appreciate every single one of you, and I'm so excited that our podcast is making its rounds. I will continue to post shorts daily because they seem to be getting more views. I love interacting with you through the comments. I really enjoy spending time talking about professional wrestling. I do have a full-time job. I do have 2 children, but my free time, my hobby is talking professional wrestling. So I love doing it, love interacting with each and every one of you. So until next time, que tenga buen día.